Good morning, my friends. This is Becky. Welcome back to my channel. On my channel, I am going through my good midlife crisis, where I am journeying through my 40s and I am working oh so hard to get my poop in a group. In order to do this, I have been working on my physical, my financial, and my mental health. And today is Friday, I don't even know, August the 23rd, and I am going to be doing a financial health check-in. Let me tell you, y'all, this week has been rough with both my physical health and that's affecting my financial health. So, hang on, we have a little bit of a roller coaster. There's probably going to be some changes coming. But y'all, that's life. That's how life works. We roll with the punches. That's a YNABism. YNAB is the app that I use to do my digital cash stuffing and my budgeting. So, if you are new, welcome. This video is going to be me doing my budget for the end of August and talking about how life has been. I mean, it's not bad. I love my life and nothing bad has happened. It's just feels like it's all coming at me. I'm going to talk about that in this video. And that actually kind of shows why I am doing all three of these journeys together because your mental health affects, at least for me, my mental health affects how I spend my money, and my physical health affects how I spend my money. And so it was impossible for me to get my budget under control until I was able to work on my physical health and my mental health at the same time. Because if I wasn't budgeting in those things, they wouldn't work. The budget wouldn't work. And I think it's maybe time for me to refocus on my physical health a little bit. I've been kind of backburnering it. This is not a physical health video. Don't worry, I'm not going to really talk about it too much, just in how it impacts my budget. I do have a physical health playlist. If you want to check those videos out, I will link that playlist below, where I do weekly weigh-ins and I talk about what's going on with my physical health. But this is not that video. This is a financial health video. So if you're not new, welcome back. I saw Gina's comment. I did finally respond to all my comments, so thank you all for being so patient with me. I'm sorry I was so far behind. But I saw Gina's comment about adding, maybe making my no judgment spending category more like a sinking fund where I put a little bit of money into that every week. And I saw Libby's comments about a couple of sinking funds maybe to add. So when I shrink myself and we go through this week's budget and finish out August, because I'm just going to finish out August and then September I will rework with all of my new stuff. Um, when I do that, I'm going to try to work a couple of new sinking funds in, so that I am maybe more prepared for when the mental stuff hits me, which is normally around this time of year. Again, this is not a mental health video. I'm not going to really talk about that too much, but it is normally around this time of year. If you, well, new or not new, um, my father passed away 4 years ago, and it was at the end of August that he did pass. And my friend Troy passed away 10 years ago. It'll be 10 years ago tomorrow, also at the end of August. So the end of August is kind of a hard time for me, and I'm okay. I really am okay. I went through therapy last year, and it helped me so much more than I can ever like describe. It was just within 2 sessions. I mean, you've got to find your right therapist, but within 2 sessions, I was already feeling like a weight had been lifted. And I did a few months of therapy, and it was amazing. So if you, I highly recommend that. That was my mental health. I do not post a lot to my mental health playlist because those videos take a lot out of me, but I do have one and I will link that below as well. So this is the time of year where I start to notice a little downswing in my mental health. Again, so much better this year than it has been. But when I do that, I tend to overspend. I have been so much better about overspending since I've had this budget, since I have y'all to keep me accountable because y'all are amazing. And I have no idea how people budget without sharing their information online because I need y'all to keep me accountable and to give me these ideas and to show me, hey, you missed that category, or you put too much, or you didn't put enough, or I need y'all to tell me those things. So thank you for pointing that out. And as I've said before, you're never going to offend me. You're never going to upset me. Please don't be scared to tell me a suggestion or to point out a mistake that I've made or a mistake that you think I am making, um, because I rely on y'all and your feedback to do this. Um, that being said, I do have overspending, but this is not related to my mental health. This is related to my physical health because I have celiac and I have a lot of medical expenses associated with celiac. And there's a big one coming up, and they're going to make me pay for it out of pocket because I live in the USA and my health insurance doesn't cover anything. Also, I have on a headband because I'm getting my hair done today. If you watched last week's video, um, today is the day I'm getting my hair done, and I plan to get color, and you're not supposed to wash it before you color it. So it's up because my hair needs to be washed. So it's just up, and then my hair is all frizzy, so I have a headband. So sorry. Okay. Also, I know I talk a lot. I'm going to put some timestamps in the description box below so you can totally just skip ahead to the budgeting part if that's all you're here for. I understand. Okay. Okay. So I went to my GI doctor this week, which is my gastrointestinal doctor. He's my specialist I see for my Crohn's. I don't have Crohn's. My sister had Crohn's. So this is the doctor I see for my celiac. That's what I have. And he said that it has now been 2 years since my diagnosis, and almost 2 years. And now that I've been on a gluten-free diet for this long, my markers are all good. They are showing that like I am not eating the gluten and everything is looking better, but they need to go in and do a new endoscopy, which is where they put the scope in your throat and like go into your stomach. They need to go in and do a new one of those to make sure all of the damage that had been caused from the celiac and me not realizing I had it for however long, um, all of that damage is healing. And they need to make sure that that is healing because if it's not, then there is some subset of celiac disease. And he told me the name of it, and I do not remember it. And I really probably should have looked it up. I'm going to take this headband off. Really probably should have looked that up before I did this video, but I didn't because I was responding to comments and that was more important to me. But there is some subset of celiac that even if you are eating gluten free and you are following all of the rules, you can be symptom free, but all of the damage is still done and not healing, and that is not good. And they need to because celiac can cause all kinds of cancers and all kinds of other medical issues. It's not just eating gluten free because I don't want to eat gluten. Trust me, I want to eat the gluten. Oh my goodness, if I could eat the gluten. But I can't because even if I don't get sick from eating it, then it's still damaging my insides and like leading to a very increased risk of cancers and things. So I need to be very careful. And they need to go in and make sure that it's healing. And because I live in the United States and I have a high deductible insurance, which I still for me, financially, every year I look at the cost of my high deductible versus my PPO versus my HMO, like all of the different plans that my company offers. And I am very thankful to work for a company that does offer healthcare because I know not everybody has that luxury. One of my friends is self-employed, and we were talking about it last night a little bit. And she was how expensive the marketplace was for her, like over $800 a month for health insurance. Thankfully, mine's not that much because I work for a company that supplements my health insurance. So I am very thankful to have that. But every year I look at the cost of what would come out of my check versus what I could put away in my HSA. And if you use an HSA, which is a health savings account, or an FSA, which is a future spending account, I think, I don't, flexible spending account. And it's all for medical. As long as they take it out of your check pre-tax, and as long as you spend it on medical, it's all pre-tax. So I don't ever have to pay tax on that money. And I do the math and I figured out even with all of my added expenses, it's cheaper for me to put the money away for my deductible and use that money tax free than it is for me to pay for the PPO or the HMO that my company offers because they're really expensive. Even just for me, I don't have children, I'm not married. It's just me that I would have to cover, and it's still really expensive to have these plans. But because I have the high deductible plan, I still have over $1,600 left before I meet my deductible, which means I've more than half met it, but I haven't fully met it yet. So I have to pay at least $860 before I can do the procedure, and the procedure is next week. That's a lot of money. They did let me set up a payment plan where I can pay half of it now and the other half 30 days after my procedure, which isn't really a payment plan. That's $430 this week and $430 next month. Like, okay, that's still a lot of money coming out of my budget that I wasn't planning on spending. And I just don't have that money in my HSA right now because I had COVID and I ordered the semaglutide. So I didn't actually even have the money on for those things. I put those on my Amex. Um, I still have to pay off my American Express card because I have a lot of medical expenses and travel expenses on my American Express, and I want to pay that off before May when the interest will start accruing. I bought that microwave, which Nathan is paying me back for. Um, and then I had to put that 430. I didn't have to. I could have used a debit card, but I panicked and I put it on a credit card just so I could have time to sit down and figure out what I was going to have to do because when they called, I wasn't prepared for it. I wasn't prepared for them to not give me a payment plan option. That $860 is just for the facility fee. That is just to be in a room. That does not pay for any of the medications, any of the anesthesia, any of the doctor's time, the anesthesiologist's time, any of the equipment. That pays for nothing except for the room for me to be in. I don't know what the other ones are going to cost, but I will only have to pay another 860 like $800 before my deductible is met. And once my deductible is met, I don't have any more fees for the year. Like every time I go to a doctor, everything is covered, which is why I chose this plan because even with the higher end plans, even once you meet your out of pocket, you meet your deductible, you still have an out of pocket that you have to meet. I work in healthcare. I know how insurance works. So I know it can get complicated. And again, this is not my health journey, but this is really affecting my budget. Um, Even with those higher end plans, you have to meet a deductible and then you still have to pay your copay until you've met your out of pocket. This is just useful information if you have insurance. So, if you have a $1,500 deductible and you have a $3,000 out of pocket, what that means is you will pay 100% of your fees until you've met your deductible, and then you will pay your copays until you've met your out of pocket. So, if your copay for a doctor's appointment is 20%, you will pay 20% after you'll pay $1,500 total. They won't cover anything until you've met that, except for like your annual plans. Most plans will cover like annual stuff. But other than that, nothing is covered. You pay your deductible. And then you start paying 20% of everything or 60% or whatever your plan, every plan is different. Even if like with Blue Cross Blue Shield, they have 10,000 plans. So like every plan is a little bit different on what they'll cover and what your percentage is going to be. But you will pay your copay until you've met your out of pocket and then they will kick in and pay 100%. I figured out, and you cannot have an HSA if you have those plans, like the PPO or the HMO, the ones with the copays. You can't have an HSA. For myself, with the lower cost of the high deductible plan, my deductible is it. Once I've met my deductible, they pay 100%. I don't have a copay after that. Um, it worked out to where it was cheaper for me to have the high deductible plan because then I can have an HSA and use all this money tax free. So I set it aside to where I set aside at least my deductible. It's a little bit more than my deductible because my company does matching. Again, I know I'm very fortunate and not everybody has that. Um, but even with that, it's a little bit more than my deductible that goes into my HSA every year tax free. And then I can spend that money on my medical expenses because I know I'm going to have a lot of medical expenses. Um, and that just works better for me financially. And I get to bring home a little bit more every week, well, every 2 weeks in my paychecks because even though I'm setting aside that money in my HSA, which would balance out to basically what I was going to pay for the higher end plan, it's tax free. So it just works out better for me. That being said, I now have the $325 from Best Buy that I was planning to pay off when Nathan paid me back for the microwave. Nathan is my landlord slash roommate, um, also one of my very best friends, and I've lived with him for 10 years now. So, um, the microwave in our house broke. I bought it just to get one in the house because I didn't know how to reheat food without it. And he is paying me back for it. So he told me he's going to give me $200 this week and then the other $130 next month. Like we put everything into Splitwise, and so it'll just come off of what I pay him for rent. That's basically how it works. I was planning to just put that straight onto my Best Buy card, but my Best Buy card is interest free, as is my American Express card. What is not interest free is the Capital One card that I put my facility fee on for my procedure next week. So instead, I'm going to pay the Capital One card with that money that he is giving me because I don't want to pay interest on it. And then I will revamp my budget and we'll figure it out. I'm going to sit down. I sat down last night. I came up with, oh, what is it? I came up with my monthly budget. These are all of my expenses, like just laid out of what I have to set aside currently. And does not include the income from Seth or Seth's car, but it does include Seth's car on my insurance. So I know that this is about $150 off because I am accounting that I am paying the full car insurance, but I don't. Seth pays for it. And then, oh, Lord willing, in October, his car will be paid off and it will go into his name and it will come off of my insurance. So my insurance should come down. Um, but as of right now, without Seth's income or Seth's car, I have worked out my budget to where it all works out. And this is just my paychecks. This doesn't include any cash back, any YouTube money, um, any extra income. Bare bones, this is what I have to make my life run the way it is currently running. And then I will go from here to figure out what I also did a bare bones worksheet. Um, these are both available for free from thebudgetmom.com. I will link that website below if y'all are also needing to set up a bare bones budget or a monthly budget. These are free worksheets. She has a lot of free worksheets on her website. If you want to go check those out, I'll link her website. I worked this out. I'm going to sit down. Probably not this weekend because this weekend is ice ball, and I'm going to just go have a good time and enjoy myself with my friends. Donate to a fantastic cause. I will link that below as well. Ice Ball is the fundraiser for Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Central Texas, and they do an annual gala fundraiser for them. And I go with my friends every year, and unfortunately, I am not able to give much. Fortunately, my friends are in a better financial place than I am, and so they are. But I tag along and I have a good time. And I do want to give something. So, what I am going to put into my ice ball donation is not what I would like to, but hopefully by this time next year, with my ice ball sinking fund that Libby suggested I set up, and I'm planning to do, and Gina suggested that I set up my no judgment, sorry, my no judgment spending as a sinking fund. I'm going to set those up as sinking funds, maybe add a couple more so that I will be better prepared for this next year. That's my goal. That's my plan. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to come up with a new budget and work it out and go from there. As of right now, today, I'm just going to budget out the rest of my month, the rest of my money. What I have is $2,296.19. This is going to my bills for the end of the month. I'm going to pay my rent and then my weekly expenses. And then I'm going to put the rest of whatever is left toward my American Express card and toward my Capital. I'm going to put some of it toward my Capital One, the money that Nathan is giving me. And I am going to put some toward Ice Ball so that I can just go and enjoy and donate. Not what I wanted to. And this is just a cap for myself. I don't have to spend this much money, but this is just like this is all you can spend money. It's not much. It's not what I want to give, but it's something. Okay. Also, also, I somehow managed to pocket reload my Dutch Brothers app. Like I had my like exercise pants on, my yoga pants, and I had it in my pocket and I had my earbuds, which are charging over here, but I had my earbuds and my phone in the same pocket, and somehow I didn't even know this was possible. It opened the app because the app wasn't even open. It opened the app and charged, it reloaded $15 at a time onto my Dutch Brothers card twice, and then 5 times it tried to do it again, and my bank rejected it. My bank was like, this does not seem legit, and it canceled all of those transactions. It declined them. Y'all, I loaded $30 onto my Dutch Brothers, which is my coffee app. So I'm not going to be putting any money into my coffee fund this week because I already did that. Um, $5 more than I was planning to. So there's some savings, and I may or may not be going to in-person church tomorrow, Sunday, because of ice ball. I'm not sure what time I'll get home and everything, so I may be zooming in. So if I don't go to in-person church, I for sure won't be going out for lunch after church. So there may be another $20 I can save. I'm just shaving some money off of things here. Let's get started. If you're new, I do normally talk a lot, but I don't normally talk this in depth. So I hope that you still find the budgeting interesting. And if you're interested in my story and following along, I hope that you subscribe and come along with me. And if you're not new, thank you all so, so much for your continued support, your suggestions, your ideas. I love y'all so much. Um, okay, let's get into this. The money that you see is my rollover from last week's paycheck and also a YouTube check, which was $110. So thank y'all so much for that because that is just an extra $100 that allowed me to take my nephew and my mom out for lunch and send some flowers to my friend who is in the hospital. She's still in the hospital. Poor thing. She's so sick. Um, but it allowed me to do that. I do also have a friend whose mother passed away last week, and I really, really want to buy her some flowers, but it's just not in my budget. So I'm going to try to figure out what I can do because I have to be careful. I have to stick to this. Maybe I'll just go up and see her and bring her some flowers. I don't know. Anyway, because she lives here. She's not in Massachusetts. That friend is here. Okay, let's get started with this YNAB budget, shall we? I think I've talked about everything, and if I haven't, I've talked enough to where I'll talk about it next week. I'm going to shrink myself up into this corner, and we'll get started. I will be right back. Okay, so for dining out, I'm still going to give myself my normal 40. My groceries, look, y'all, I didn't go over, and I still have some money left over. I'm going to give myself my $100. I did spend my fun money because I went to my friend's birthday party at Round Rock Express at the Dell Diamond, and you can check out my Instagram to see photos of that fantastic night. It was so much fun. My ecclesial expenses, again, $80 every single week for that, but I probably won't spend all of that this week. Coffee isn't getting anything because coffee got an extra $5. Um, and then the rest of these I only fill either once a month at the beginning of the month, which will be next week's check, or when um, when I get paid. And again, next week. So a lot of these will get filled next week, but for today they are not getting filled. This reimbursable expenses, that is my the microwave that I bought. So this is gonna stay here because I'm not gonna put the money toward it. I'm gonna pay off my Capital One card if I can. Once a month, these are my bills that I have to pay, and I'm going to go ahead and pay all the rest of the bills for the month because this budget goes through the 29th. So today is the 23rd, and this will go through next Thursday, the 29th. And then I will get paid again on the 30th, but I'm just going to pay all of the rest of the bills for the month and my rent for next month to take some of the load off of next month's budget. So, internet is $65.45. My debt consolidation loan, this is a loan that I took out to pay off all of my credit cards, which was one of the best decisions I have ever made. If you are considering doing it and you can do so, I do recommend it. Just make sure that you are able to like handle your credit cards after that. Thankfully, I have been able to. Just make sure you're not going to take on this debt and then still load up your credit cards. But if you can consolidate your 25% interest credit card into a 5% loan, that's a no-brainer in my opinion. And it does save me so much money. Um, I pay the minimum payment is $167. I am planning to pay this off by December, and in order to do that, I pay $300 a month. So that will be $300. Cinemark is my movie subscription. That is $6.48 a month. Again, this is something I could easily cut out. but it's $650 a month. I'm probably going to keep it, but I am going to review my whole budget this week at some point. And I know I didn't put out a budget setup for August because by the time I finally had time to sit down and record it, it was like the third and a half week of August. And I was like, this is ridiculous at this point. I'll just do September." So, yeah, hopefully I'll have a September budget setup coming out. My water bill, I normally budget $120 a month, but I actually know what it is, and it's going to be $99.66. And then I'm going to snooze this target, which is a YNAB feature. YNAB is amazing, y'all. If you haven't checked it out yet, the link is always in my description box where you can get 34 days for free. And then if you like it, at that point you would put your credit card information in when you decided to sign up, and you'd get an additional 30 days for free. So 64 days for free for you. And then if you sign up, they send me 30 days. So, and everybody gets YNAB. One of the features of YNAB is you set a target, you tell it how much you want. I tell this I want to budget $120 every single month, and it asks me for that much money every single month. I know that my bill is not $120 this month. It's only $99.66. So I know that this is fully funded and I'm not going to put any more money in here. So I hit the snooze button here. So it turns this green and it doesn't ask me for any more money this month, even though technically I really need like another $20.44 in here, 34 cents. It's not going to ask me for it. It's just going to say, okay, she's good. She doesn't need it. Seth's car payment. This is the car that I financed for my niece when my niece lived with me, and I was not able to afford it, and she was not able to afford it. This is pre-journey Becky, and Becky was making horrible financial decisions. That's okay. We still love her. She did the best she could. She was going through a lot. Um, Fortunately, I had a friend who needed a car. At the same time, I was like, I can't afford this car, and he took over car payments. This car should be paid off in October, Lord willing. But he does pay me every month. He has already paid me this month. He pays me for his car payment and for his portion of the car insurance because the car is insured in my name. Um, so the minimum payment is $269.85. I did refinance this loan when I did my debt consolidation because both of those had super high interest rates and I brought them down like almost by half. It only saved me $55.42 every single month, but the percentage was like cut in half. So this is being paid off much faster than it would have been. So even though the minimum payment is $269.85, I always pay $325.27 because that was our original minimum payment and that's what he sends me. So that will get paid this week. And then rent, I always budget $600, but because Nathan is giving me the $200 back for the microwave, it actually would have been $611.44. I would have been a little over this month, but it's only going to be $411.44 this month for rent. And again, I'm going to snooze that because I know that that is fully funded and I don't need to put any more money in there. And so I don't want YNAB to ask me for any more money. Um, my mom's utilities, I pay some bills for my mom. And this I only fill once a month at the beginning of the month. And this is like a sinking fund where I let it build up. Gifts and giving, I am going to be putting, I'm just going to make this an even $400. So I'm going to say $400. This is a YNAB feature, by the way, that you can use um, to, if you want to just, I'm like, I want to fill this to $400. This whole little thing I'm pointing, but y'all can't see. This is a calculator. You see these symbols right here? This is a calculator. So I'm going to say I want a total of $400. I've already got $95.67 in there. That's going to add $304.33. That is going to give me an even $400 to pay for my ticket, and then to have $300 to spend on the silent auction. Again, I probably will not spend that much money, but this is just my cap. Whatever I don't spend, I will put toward my Capital One card to pay that off. So that's my goal because I actually use my Capital One card as my card on file when I go there. So that'll be convenient because it'll just all go to Capital One. Okay, that's that section. And then what else do I have? Um, my taxes. Oh, because I have a because I got a YNAB, not a wine, I always say YNAB, a YouTube check. I set 20% of my YouTube checks aside for taxes, and I am going to do that now. I am going to find my taxes, which is here in my once a year, but I don't know where there it is. It's in my Notachi. Taxes, I'm going to put $22 aside for taxes. So that is $449.23 set aside for next year's taxes for tax prep and in case I owe anything. And then the other thing I wanted to do is put that $200 that Nathan gave me toward my Capital One card. I am going to do that by putting it in my medical. And I never use the medical, so I got to find it. It's going to be down here in healthcare. So you see my medical is overspent by $429.46. That is because that's what I told YNAB the category was when I put that transaction in. It is yellow because it's on a credit card. So it's recognizing that this is a potential overspend. And if I don't pay it by the end of the month, that I'm going to have debt and I don't want to have debt. Like that's the whole point of doing this is to stay out of debt. But it's not red because it's not going to impact my budget. It's on a credit card. I technically haven't touched any of the actual money that I have in any of my accounts. So if I had put this on my debit card and I didn't have it categorized, or if I didn't have the money in the category, it would turn it red and it would be like, yo, there's a big problem here. You have spent $430 that you do not have. You need to figure out where you're going to pull this money from to cover it. But on a credit card, it turns it yellow and it's like, you probably should cover this if you don't want to incur debt. But if you can't, we understand, life happens, but they turn it yellow just to give you a warning. And they also put it up here in your overspent categories. So I am going to add $200, and that is the $200 that Nathan sent me. So now I'm only overspent $229.46 in this category. And here is where I need y'all. Would you pull this from your emergency fund? Would you pull this from next year's taxes? Because technically, I've been setting aside $25 every single week for taxes. I don't know if I'm going to owe taxes. If I do owe taxes, it might not be that much. And I'm still going to have another $430 that I need to cover in a month that I know I'm going to have to pull from somewhere too, because I'm going to have some available money in my September budget, but I'm not going to have that much available money in my September budget. So, would you pull this overspending from taxes? Would you pull it from emergency fund, which is embarrassingly low? But this was something that came up that I didn't foresee. I was expecting them to order an MRI for my liver like they did last year, and they told me they were going to do this year. And that they let me do like a payment plan of $85 a month, and I just set it up on my HSA and it came off of my card. I was not expecting to have to pay for this full procedure out of pocket. Like that, I did not see coming. So I don't know. Where would you pull this money from? Should I pull some of it from YNAB? Because my YNAB is fully funded. And I love the fact that it's fully funded and I don't have to worry about this because this is a paid subscription, y'all. It's about $18 a year, worth every penny and then some. I'm fully funded, but mine's not going to renew until I think it's August of 2025. So I have a whole nother year before this is due. Should I pull it from here and start funding my YNAB again, $12.50 a month? Where would you pull this money from to cover the overspending? Ice ball is not an option. I'm going to be giving that money. I need to have that money set aside because I'm probably going to spend it anyway and I want to have it budgeted. So realistically, where would you pull this money from? The emergency fund, the taxes, pull some of it from YNAB. Where should I pull it from? What would you do if you were me? And then that leaves me $331.56, which is not very much money, but I'm going to budget that toward my American Express card because I need to start paying that card down or it is not going to get paid off. So $331.56. I already have it set up to come off that much, but I'm going to add this $331.56. Okay, that's all of my money for the entire month. I'm done. I'm closing out this budget with a zero balance. And I am moving on to September. I will come up with a new September budget. I will figure this out. And I would love your input if you have it. Please give me suggestions. Please give me ideas. Please give me examples of what you have done in the past when you had unexpected medical expenses and you really didn't have a very big emergency fund. I technically could cover this whole thing with my emergency fund, but it would zero it out. And I really would rather not do that. Um, I'd like to leave something in there. Okay. I love y'all. Thank you so much for listening to me ramble. I will leave all of those links in the description box. And I hope y'all have a fantastic time. I will be posting pictures of Ice Ball on my Instagram. So make sure you are following me if you are not already so you can check that out because it is a really fun time. All right, y'all. Have a fantastic week. Have an amazing weekend. And I will talk to y'all later. Bye, guys.